Hello, my loves. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Dustina. This is Spiritual Boujee Astrology, and we're going to take a look at the astrological transits of April 1st to April 7th. Now, before we do any type of recap or look ahead, just a couple of quick little things. One, my one-on-ones are still on special for $35. I said this at the beginning of March. I said this in the last two episodes of March. I'm saying it in the first two episodes of April. I said I would be running this special through both months to be able to help everybody out. Sometimes you guys are messaging me saying, "Oh my God, this shit just hit. I need an emergency appointment with you. I need to know what just happened." And sometimes I can accommodate that. Sometimes I can't. Sometimes we're just booking something going like, "Okay, we can talk next week, set you in the middle of the day," whatever it is that it needs to be. The whole idea is like those are on special to help you guys be able to understand what these energies are doing when they're hitting you. So a lot of this energy started in March, but a lot more of it's hitting in April. And that special is continuing through April. Number two, a lot of you are not wanting to book an appointment, but you are still getting benefit from the weekly episodes. And I've had a lot of you messaging me directly going, "Will you add like a buy a coffee feature?" And I've never actually I've only seen this. I've never actually played with this before. So I did start that. And now if you go into the descriptions, if all you're wanting to do is just like do something extra because you're getting so much benefit from the channel, but you're not necessarily wanting to book an appointment, you can now go to that buy a coffee feature, and that is in the description of all the episodes. I started adding that in. Number three, and this is the bigger one, starting this week, we will no longer be doing Facebook Lives, at least through the Mercury retrograde. If this is something that everybody enjoys, we will continue to do this moving forward. My whole idea and goal with this channel is to start to grow a spiritual community that actually understands what it means to do in the energy, living in the energy, understanding when those things are going to impact you. The whole idea of this channel is to learn how to brace for impact. I don't feel like enough astrologers put enough emphasis into understanding how these transits go through the daily. And I do that as best as I can. You guys, if you've been listening for a while, you know that. Many of you have been hopping on my Facebook Lives and you get like additional input in regards to your own natal chart. We start to look at whatever's been getting activated for you. We pull some tarot cards, but so many of you do that with me so regularly that you're becoming friends with one another. And I want to continue to build this as a community. So the idea is that we're going to start to switch over to more interactive Zooms so that way more people can actually be a part of the discussion, be a part of the conversation, be a part of that situation, and of course get some FaceTime, because a lot of you have been talking to each other but you've never actually like talked to each other. You're just sitting there with keyboard style. So the whole idea is that we're going to start to transition over to interactive Zooms. That's going to start this week, Monday, April 1st, Wednesday, April 3rd, and both of these are going to happen at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you are in a different time zone and you have suggestions as to a better time of day that would work more favorably for you, I am open to suggestions, but for right now, I'm going to stick to the evening time because I feel like the majority of my people are here in the States area that would actually want to be a part of that. So just big thing on that. So again, monthly specials are $35. The buy a cup of coffee thing is now added in the description for everybody. If you want to do something, if you don't, that's fine. I've had requests, so I started to add it. And we are now moving over to interactive Zoom so that way our community can feel more like a community and not just me talking all the time. Yay. Okay. Now, let's talk about what's just happened. I said the last 2 weeks of March, we're really shaping up and shaking things into where we're going to need to move our focus, restructure, reorganize, reevaluate, redo. All of the re's, repurpose, reconnect. And for a lot of people, when we get into this week, because this week is the start of the Mercury retrograde, there will be new purpose in the way that we're thinking of something, in the way that we're going to be structuring things. There will be a very serious, responsible, necessary, organized like tone. And if you're hearing background noise, I'm sorry, I have my windows open for the airflow and there was a plane just flying over. It's really loud. I apologize. There's a very serious tone that's going to be a big part of the first part of the week. We need to take a more responsible reflection. We are having to deal with the reality of something about what somebody else has just done. There has been this energy that speaks to wanting to understand. Now, the thing about a lot of this energy is that Neptune has been so heavy in all of the transits over the last few weeks and will continue to be a part of the energy as we go through this week. And for some people, Neptune has been this calling of nostalgia, blast from the past energy, wanting to talk to these people. We want to talk to that friend from high school. You're wanting to connect with that old coworker. You keep finding yourself like running into people or going into places, and you like, sometimes it's not even a person, it's just a thing. You walk into a store and you're hit with nostalgia. It's like, I haven't seen a boombox look like this since I was a kid. Who the hell's seen a talk boy in a long time? Like, there's this thing that speaks to nostalgia. And for some people, whenever it comes to the elements of nostalgia, once Mercury turns retrograde this week, there will be a lot of people that take that nostalgic energy and they're going to face a fear. There will be a leap of faith. There will be this hopeful, blind, I don't know where I stand with somebody, but I have to know something, reconnection vibe. And that has to do with the fact that not only will Mercury be turning retrograde, but Venus, that ruler of love, joy, happiness, poetry, these things that give us pleasure, will be making a conjunction to Neptune. And that's one of the things that I can really credit to Venus and Neptune, is that people just make blind leaps of faith. I'm just going to try. I'm going to throw all this shit on the wall and I want to see what sticks. But when you add in the element of nostalgia and you add in the element of Mercury's retrograde, for some people, the things that we're trying to toss against the wall, it's not new things. It's not a new wall. We're trying to repurpose. We're trying to redo, reconnect with somebody from the past. And there will be elements of this week that speak to these leaps of faith in how we turn something around and how we can restore something. And if you're in this vibe, if you're in this element, there will be times this week that you need to expect the unexpected. Sometimes you'll be able to see that in the transits. Other times you won't. The thing about Neptune is he likes to cloud our mind, cloud our judgment. In this way, there's a cloudiness tied to desire. Venus goes in with desire. And some of us will feel very, very blinded by desires. I want this person. I need this thing. And the more intuitive you are, you've been feeling something or someone is about to come back. You've been seeing the little inklings in the universe that keep saying, hey, this is about to come back around. I've been warning about it too. But not everybody is in that nostalgia. And I want to be clear about this. Venus is also the ruler of where the first eclipse was. The first eclipse that was tied to the South Node. The South Node, again, is the body without a head. And many of us had an impact to the body this last 2 weeks because of that eclipse energy. We felt it. For some people, it was as simple as exhaustion. But for other people, it had to do with those things that Venus rules. It impacted your lungs, it impacted your ability to speak or sing. It impacted your airways, your eyes, your kidneys, your sexual organs. And I'm not talking about the sexy situation. I'm talking about the organs now. I'm just talking about the health of them. We felt something. tied to Venus in the body. Some of you have already commented on the prior episodes saying, hey, this happened. Some of you just DM me directly going, oh my God, I got kidney stones. I got this. I got that. Venus, 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 Venus. But you're finding out something at a timeline to where you can potentially correct it, where you can potentially work on it, where you can potentially get something turned around, because this is happening while Venus is in her exaltation. Now, what's going to happen this week when Venus hits that conjunction to Neptune for the people that are more tied to the health aspect is there's going to be a big focus on treatments and how we work through something and how we fix something and how we heal something. And if you've been feeling something tied to the body, I need to make people very, very aware that not only will Venus be leaving her exaltation this week after the conjunction to Neptune, but Venus will be going into her detriment. She's going into Aries. And given the concept of the Mercury retrograde, on top of that, many people will be having to restructure, rework, refocus, redo a lot of different things based off of what got stirred up, what came to light, what was going on through the Pisces sides of the transits. Because once they go into Aries, we start to act upon them. Some people, you're going to learn what kind of treatments you are going to be necessary. Some of you are going to get to a point with Venus and Neptune, you're going to get a scan. That scan is going to bring something to light and make everybody more aware of like, oh shit, we need to do something immediately. This has got a bigger tone to it. This has more to do with it. And whenever it comes to the elements of this week, whether you are in the area of treatments, nostalgia, reconnection, please be aware that all of these are going to impact that Mercury retrograde energy. Now, it is a Neptune transit. It is Neptune's vibe and Neptune's energy. And let's be fair, I say this all the time. Neptune's kind of a dick. I'm a Pisces moon. I have credentials to say that. Neptune's kind of a dick. And what we're going to find out, some of you, is that once we start to restructure and refocus something this week, we're going to discover something that we were not anticipating. Could that be health stuff and everything else we talked about? Yes, of course. But for some of you, you're not in the health vibe. You're not in the reconnection vibe. You're not trying to reorganize everything in your office. You're trying to get something understood. And you thought you had the right thing. You thought you had an agreement. You thought you had something worked out. But the longer you wait for somebody else to do what they're supposed to do, you finally become aware that maybe, just maybe, this wasn't true. This wasn't real. And whenever Venus hits the conjunction to Neptune, some people are going to discover something and find something that's going to light a fire under their ass because they're going to be realizing that they've been lied to. I've said for a while, April's going to be a shit show. Whenever you put in the eclipse energy, when you put in all of the Mercury retrograde energy, you put in all of these things tied to the Neptune transits, and then later this month, we're going to have the Jupiter-Uranus thing. This is a month of shakeups. The last 2 weeks were preparing us for shakeups, putting things into line as to where the shakeup is going to be. This week is going to be another round of energy that shows us how we shake something up. And for some people, that is going to be a necessary shakeup. We have to turn something around in our health. You got to quit eating the sugar. You lay off the soda. You have to become more active because it's going to impact the health. You have to start doing breathing treatments or some other thing, because the way you've been doing it is no longer working. And that's a part of the restructure, the replanning, and the refocus. But not everybody is in that vibe. But be aware that whatever has just occurred or is about to occur is all about the re's that come through with a Mercury retrograde. Reorganize, restructure, refocus, rethink, reconnect. For some people, it will be a reconnection. And the one thing that we can accredit to this entire pre-shadow phase is that with all of those energies going through Pisces, is nostalgia has been running rampant for everyone. And there will be a very nostalgic feel to what we start to do this week, whether it's with our elders, whether it's in the office, whether it's with a very specific person. There will be some element of nostalgia that will be very, very clear. So let's get into the transits. Let's get into the week. Let's get into Monday. Monday, April 1st. This is the start of the month. This is going to be the start of the Mercury retrograde, but we're not starting first thing in the day with Mercury retrograde. No. What we're starting with is the moon in Capricorn making a sextile to Mars. Mars, the ruler of Aries. It's Aries season. Where's Mercury turning retrograde? In Mars's sign. The moon and Mars right here can be a push towards an action, a check-in about how an action is going to move forward. Are we going to be taking some kind of action? Some people are going to be learning about a disruption that actually occurred maybe over the last few days, over the last week, that we weren't privy to. Maybe you were on vacation last week. Congratulations, kind of jelly. You do your thing though. But some people, we weren't completely made aware of something that has just occurred. And then we come back into the office on Monday and we're learning about the disruption. We're learning that there has been a shift in power. We're learning that something has just changed. And between the morning transit of the moon sextile to Mars and the afternoon where Mercury actually turns retrograde, and that will happen at 5:15 p.m. Central Standard Time. So I'm going to bump this to 5:30. And now you can see Mercury retrograde. There's a little retrograde symbol. There it is. There is something about this energy that speaks to a disruptive energy, the level of actions that are required, how something is going to turn around, where we're about to reorganize something, where we're about to shift our focus, how that focus is going to be shifting back on us in certain ways based off of the energy at hand. Now, the one thing that I have said very clearly is that Mercury in Aries can be a very pop-off type energy. And there can be some popping off throughout the day. On Monday, there can be popping off anytime this week because it is Mercury's energy. But when you put this part into perspective, like somebody could say something partway through the day that immediately it's what leads to what turns around. It's just like whatever you checked on somebody and their activity and what they're supposed to be doing, and you realize they haven't done what they said they were going to do. They haven't done anything at all. They're not prepared. They didn't do that report. They didn't do what they were supposed to do. It's just like a flip of the switch in our head going, no, I'm not doing this. Not putting up with this. Go in front of it. Leave me alone. We're mad. We start to growl. We can snap, pop off a little bit. Not snap in the major sense, but just like a little snap going, get out of my office. Gave you this task weeks ago. Get out of my office. Okay. Now, aside from those two transits throughout the day, there's not a whole lot going on until we get into the evening time. So I'm going to just go ahead and bump this up to about 11:30 because we got two things that are going on, and these are happening in the late evening. So for some of us, we're going to be having a restless night. You can attribute that part of that to Mercury having just turned around. Part of that you can attribute to the fact that we're going into the last quarter moon. That actually is whenever the moon squares the sun between 9 and 11 p.m. Central Standard Time. So I'm really just past that right now. Here's the moon 13 degrees. Here's the sun. Last quarter moons usually result in a wind down in the energy, but we're still going into Aries transits. So that wind down can feel very stifling. It can feel like somebody's getting muffled or muzzled or cut off. It can feel very, very abrupt. However, when we go through this late night energy, we also have the moon in Saturn sign going through a sextile with Saturn. You can see that right here. Sorry about that. Now, if we're taking in the idea of a wind down in the situation while the moon is also aspecting Saturn from its own sign, some of this can be like, okay, everybody's aware of the disruption. Everybody's aware of what has just happened. Everybody is aware of what's going on. So we have no choice but to delegate, but to make a change, but to do things differently from here. Sorry, I got choked up again. So if you came in on Monday morning into the office and you realize like huge disruption has just happened, then part of the day can be scrambling to redelegate certain roles or trying to wrap our head around, okay, well, if Susie, who's always done the accounting, is no longer going to be in accounting, we need to hire, we need to promote, we need to do something within. And there's this huge energy that speaks to who is going to be responsible for something moving forward. And again, it can be very scrambling and frustrating, but it's all very, very necessary. Necessary for where we're moving and how things are going from here. Okay. Moving along. We're going to get into Tuesday. Now, remember, the quarter moon is happening late. The moon's sextile to Saturn goes all the way until 1 o'clock in the morning, like we feel it the most between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m. So some of us, we're going to be having physical actions out there of like, you know, having those conversations about what we're doing next, how it's going to move forward from here. For other people, our mind is just going to be busy and there's going to be a lot of overthinking about, again, the responsible thing to do. What's right, what's next, what's necessary. Okay. Now, I'm not getting a whole lot of sleep whenever it comes to Monday into Tuesday. We're going to get into the early morning, and between 5:30 and 7:30 a.m., so I got this April 2nd at 6:30, we're going to have the moon in this trine to Jupiter. Now, this is interesting to me because Venus and Neptune, they're still building. This is not going to go exact until the 3rd, but we have all of these transits that are going through Jupiter's sign. And this moon trine Jupiter can feel like we need to get a better understanding of something. We need to hear some more from the doctor. We need to hear some more from the guru. We need somebody with the idea of like how they're going to teach us something. We need somebody that can educate us about something. We need that spiritual guidance. We need that guru. We need that other level of support as to how we can do something. And this is earth to earth. So this is very, very tangible. So some people, we actually need like a physical aid. There'll be something physical as a part of the energy, something that can be touched. Some of us, we're going to need a physical aid as to like how we are going to be mobile moving forward. I know that sounds odd, but given all the Aries transits, like we are talking about the idea of like reactions and actions. So there can be something that speaks to the mobility, but we need to learn something, educate, or we are the one giving the education. We are the one giving the guidance. We are the one giving that hope. We are the one telling the symptoms, explaining the care, explaining the process. There's something about this that is either coming from the medical person, the spiritual person, the guru, or it's getting it from them. Like we need some level of support in that regard. Now, that goes the most exact between 5:30 and 7:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Keep this moving forward. The next transit is going to happen right around lunchtime. And again, what I said in the beginning is like there will be some elements of this week if we need to expect the unexpected. This is one of those transits. So we have the moon making this trine to Uranus. We're going through something where, again, we just had something from the doctor. Maybe the doctor said, yeah, I'm going to order for more tests. We're going to order more scans. You're going to go in for this extra thing. And then you get to the afternoon and now you're going in. This wasn't even on the schedule. It was something that the doctor thought of the other day or ordered, and nobody told you that you're doing the extra thing. Sometimes it's not going to have anything to do with the doctor. It's just going to have to do with the fact that you're out to lunch with somebody and you're sitting down, you're having a salad with your girlfriend, you're having that lunch meeting or whatever you're doing your networking, and you look to the next table and you run into that old friend from high school, a person you ain't seen in a long time. And there is this unexpected, helpful connection, grounded, feels safe and secure. There's something here that's just, it's a little bit unexpected. And given again, Venus and Neptune are building all day, there can be this huge element of nostalgia. Mercury just turned retrograde. There's a huge element of like reconnection. So it's not necessarily that it's a new person. You might just get that phone call, that email, something on, a DM online going, hey, stranger, how are you? That friend request. You weren't expecting it. Doesn't have to be heavy. But with the moon Uranus energy in the mid part of the day on the 2nd, expect something unexpected to occur. Now, after these two transits, there's not a whole lot going on throughout the day until we get into the evening time. And you're going to notice this pattern all week is that we're going to have a lot of late nights whenever it comes to this week. We're going to have a lot of restless energy. We're going to have a lot of nights where we're really struggling to sleep and to focus. Now, we've got two things going on simultaneously, well, three technically. Between 10:30 p.m. and 12:30 a.m. on the 3rd, the moon, right here, 27 degrees, is squaring Mercury, 27 degrees. The moon is squaring Mercury. Number 2, simultaneously, the moon is sextiling Venus. Number 3, simultaneously, the moon is sextiling Neptune. Now, Venus and Neptune, their conjunction is coming together. This is happening, but it's not direct until the 3rd. So whatever I start to explain right now can be a part of the 2nd. It can be a part of the 3rd. It can actually be a part of the 1st or the 4th. Like we've got a few days in here, but there is this energy here of like, this is where we're getting more insight. This is where we're getting more information. The moon and Mercury are actually now moving towards each other, and Venus and Neptune are kind of in the middle. So again, we can be having those unexpected communication. We can get that blast from the past. We can have that nostalgic situation coming through. However, we can also have something that speaks to the treatments, something that speaks to that other level of aid, something that speaks to that level of care that is necessary. For other people's, this can be a symptom of care that is necessary. So be aware of that. Like for some people, like Venus and Neptune can be the symptom. However, I do feel like a lot of people, we're still in that leap of faith energy. We're still in that nostalgic connection. We're still in a lot of people like trying to bring something together. You run into somebody based off of like a creative situation, like you're out for, slam poetry, you're out for stand-up comedian, you're out for something else, karaoke, we're doing something different. And again, we have that reconnection. We run into somebody. So be aware of that whenever it comes to a lot of the vibes. Now, again, the moon is going to be squaring Mercury between 10:30 p.m. and 12:30 a.m. The moon sextile to both Venus and Neptune is going to be happening between 10:30 and 1 a.m. Central Standard Time. So this is a part of both Tuesday and Wednesday, and the fact that it's taking us into where we're at on the 3rd. So let's get into the 3rd. At 4:05 a.m. Central Standard Time, I've got this at 4:30, the moon goes into Aquarius. It's going into the other Saturnian sign, fixed air. Once we get a little bit deeper into the morning, the moon is going to make a conjunction to Pluto. Now, this goes the most exact between 6:30 a.m. Central Standard Time and 8:30 a.m. So I got this right at the edge of that whenever I get right here. The other thing that's happening between 8:10 and 8:28 a.m., so again, I'm at it right at 8:30, is this is when Venus and Neptune are going to go the most exact. Now, for some people, the leap of faith energy is going to be about facing a fear with that moon Pluto. And if this has to do with health, there can be a lot of those fear triggers whenever that moon Pluto comes in. Like we can, see the symptoms of somebody, or we can hear like the positive and negatives of some kind of treatment, and it triggers a whole lot of fear. Or we've just talked about the potential of a treatment, and now the next day you're actually experiencing it, you're actually facing it, you're actually going into that. Because again, a lot of people, whenever it came to that eclipse energy, it has impacted the body. And now we're becoming more aware of that. For other people, though, it is that leap of faith, but you don't know how you stand with that other person. You don't know if they're going to be receptive, if they're going to be able to talk to you or willing to talk to you or give a damn about talking to you. Sometimes you try to reach out to somebody and it is just brick wall, brick wall, brick wall. And that's a big possibility. And maybe they're not ready to have certain conversations with you yet. Be understanding of that. But whenever it comes to the elements and the energy, whenever we go through Wednesday, the most exact transits happened right at midnight going into this day. So in the overnight hours of the 2nd into the 3rd, and right here, right here, that first thing in the morning, it's just like you've gotten a call. Now you're going in for the scan. Now you're going in for imaging. Now you're going in for the treatment. Now you're getting something else. And I want people to be very, very aware whenever it is this Venus Neptune energy is tied to health, because I feel like whatever Venus and Neptune do reveal is a big part of Mercury's reorganizing, restructuring, redoing, rethinking, repurposing energy. This goes the most exact at 8:30 in the morning. And then there's no more transits to Wednesday. So this is the energy of Wednesday. The human effect is this can happen at any time. This can be a part of the energy at any moment. You can get that text message from mom, from dad, from your brother about what's going on with, their husband, the uncle, their kid, or whatever at any time. Okay. Moving along. We're going to get through Wednesday, get into Thursday. We're going to get into the 4th. And the first thing I want to bring up about the 4th is the fact that this is Venus's last day in Pisces, the last day. There is something about what we are learning, where our minds have been spinning, that once we learn about it on the 3rd, it makes us aware that we have to stop doing something, that we have to stop indulging in this way, that we can't continue in this one way. We have to do it another way. We have to change our focus. We can't be in this dream mode anymore. We can't be always drinking all the soda in the house. We got to do something differently. Now, the thing about as we continue through the 3rd is that Mercury finally got off the 27-degree mark. Whatever came to light, whatever is coming into focus, whatever we're learning about, makes us aware of where a change is about to be. And a lot of it is being spoken through Venus and Neptune. Once Venus changes signs, again, we become more aware of something else. The old way of doing things is meant to fall away. Now, for some people, if you just had that leap of faith, and you're in that blind reconnection because we've been desiring this person, we finally made that call, we finally did that DM, we finally made that text message, we finally tried. Part of the day of the 4th can literally just be about processing and healing, because it is the last day of Venus in her exaltation. And that can be a positive thing as much as it can be a negative thing. So be aware of that. There can be some more testiness, though, whenever we continue throughout the day. And that's going to show a little bit more based off of the moon's transits. The moon in Aquarius is very much about the facts, the long-term facts, long-term knowledge, long-term existing things. Between 9:30 and 11:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, I've got this at 10:30 right in the middle, the moon in Aquarius is going to square Jupiter. Again, we needed to get something understood. Something got ordered by the doctor. Something was requested by the doctor. And now we have more knowledge. And that knowledge leads to a different kind of change. It makes us aware of something else we need to do. And there can be a little bit more questioning. There can be a little bit more concern. There can be a little bit more awareness. A lot of this is about knowledge and things that we need to be aware of. Because what's going on all day also is the sun is building its conjunction to the North Node. And we can be learning these things that are meant to empower us with the changes that we need to make, that are needing to be a part of our focus right now, that are impacting us in so many different ways. The moon is squaring Jupiter. Venus is in Jupiter's sign. These questions and turns, whenever it comes to the moon in this square, can be, again, where the doctor's like, okay, so moving forward, you have to be doing this. Moving forward, you have to change your diet. Moving forward, this has to be your routine. This is going to be your treatment. This is going to be the physical therapy. This is going to be what we're doing now. You have no choice. This is how we have to do it. For other people, it's going to be, is there any chance? Can we fix this? Can we do better? Will you give me another shot? And the thing is, Venus would want that. But Venus is also going to hold that other person accountable, going, if you want this connection, you want this relationship, you want us to be better, you have to prove it. You have to do your side. You have to show me. And actions will speak louder than words. Trust me. And we can be in these moments where we're stating those types of things as we go through the day on the 4th. Does it just have to be the moon square to Jupiter? No. This can also be a big part of whenever the moon hits the square to Uranus a few hours later. And that goes the most exact between 2:30 and 4:30 p.m. So I've got this April 4th. It is 4x4 day, 3:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. I just thought of that with the 4x4. I'm a Jeeper for those that don't know. 4-wheel drive. There you go. Here's the moon in Aquarius squaring Uranus. The moon is in Uranus's sign. What we are questioning here, there's a different level of understanding. We're getting the input of somebody else that has had similar experience. Have you done this type of physical therapy before? When you went through these treatments, how did it go for you? When you had this surgery, how did it go for you? When you did these things, what did you do to get better? What did you do that you found that worked? It's asking for somebody else's input in a way that they can give input because they've been in that position before. Like, how did you fix it? How did you get to where you are now compared to where you were at that moment? How did we do something? And a big portion of this energy kind of speaks to getting an understanding from another person. They might not have expected the phone call. They might not have expected for you to be asking for their input, but it's like asking for input from their experience. Okay. Now, the sun will go into a conjunction to the North Node today, and that goes the most exact between 5:04 and 5:27 p.m. Central Standard Time. So I got this at 5:30. Here's the sun, 15 degrees, 38 minutes. Here is the North Node, 15 degrees and 37 minutes, right on top of each other. The sun is in exaltation. Rahu, that North Node, he's very empowered and he's very hungry and he's very on fire and he wants to engulf something and he wants something to be understood. The dragon head that is impacting the body. It is impacting the ego. It is impacting all of these things. Some people, again, are in moments where they feel right and righteous. Other people are going to feel empowered that if we don't make this change, I know it's just downhill from here. There's something about this energy that speaks to awareness, deep awareness, necessary awareness of how we can progress from here, how we excel from here, how we can do better from here, if better is even a possibility. But there is something that is very much meant to come into focus as we go through the day, as we go through this week. Transit wise, it's very heightened to these few days. And once we get into the evening time, at 11 p.m. exact, Venus, right here, 10:30, bump this one more hour to 11:30, Venus goes into Aries. Now, we are not all going to feel Venus in Aries right when she goes in. I always kind of feel like sometimes like we understand it the next morning when we wake up, the next day. So sometimes you get a midday transit that you don't necessarily feel like the difference of that planet changing signs until the next day. Kind of depends on like how in tune with this energy that you are. But technically speaking, Venus enters Pisces on the 4th. But for most people, they're not going to really feel that energy until we get to the 5th. Now, as we get into the 5th, there is one thing that is starting to happen right after Venus goes into Aries, and that is whenever the moon hits the sextile to Mercury. So you can see that right here. This goes the most exact between 11:30 p.m. and 1:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. So you can see that right here, right at 12:30 in the morning, right after midnight. Here's that sextile. The moon is stubborn. It's in the sign of Aquarius. It's got all of this knowledge. Some of us, we might be doing deep dives on the internet, trying to like learn other things. We just got diagnosed with something and now we're trying to research the symptoms really, really fast. So we're going through things online. We're trying to gain more knowledge because in the idea of the refocusing, the restructuring, the rethinking, we need inspiration, but this isn't inspirational in the artsy sense. This is inspiration in the tangible sense, in the knowledgeable sense. Deep diving energy, understanding energy, because of what has just been brought to awareness, whether that is Venus in conjunction to Neptune, whether that is Venus going into Aries, or whether that is just because of Mercury turning retrograde. We need to put something into awareness, and this is going to help us in the mental restructuring that we are starting to handle. Now, what's interesting to me is that right as this is going on, I'm still at 12:30 at night. So again, we're going to have one of those times where it's late night. We're not getting a whole lot of sleep. It's going to be restless energy. It's going to be a hard time getting to sleep. You better take extra melatonin some of the nights this week. When we're getting into this timeline right here, remember those contra-ANTISCIAs? Fold the chart at the equinox and the solstice lines. In this case, we're talking about the spring equinox line right here between Aries and Pisces. If we fold the chart right here in this time frame, what happens? Right as we're going through Venus's entry into Aries, the moon sextile to Mercury, the sun is going to enter a contra-ANTISCIA to Saturn. This is like a conjunction. It's a secret conjunction. The sun has been in a conjunction to the North Node, an actual conjunction to the North Node. The sun, if we lay the chart on top of each other, is going to be taking action, empowering action, something that is meant to trigger internally for something for some people, but for other people, it will be based off of the physical awareness of the things that are going on in the energy. There is something that speaks to how we take responsible actions moving forward. We understand the elements of the transition of responsibilities and roles from Saturn. Some people have just lost a job And you've spent the last week and a half going, how did we get to this point? How did this happen? Why did I get fired? I don't understand. And then something in the universe kind of opens this little window of opportunity, letting you know, like, this is why. Whether it comes through in a physical manifestation in this moment, or if it comes through in some type of internalized triggering of going, yeah, this is why. This is how. This is what happens now. This is where we go from here. There is this responsible empowerment that comes through based off of the contra-ANTISCIA of Saturn and the Sun. It is time for this level of ego boost. It is time for this level of strength. It is time to hold that person accountable. You want things to be better. You want things to, work between us. You want to do those things. You better prove it. It is time. You want to live longer. You have to do something better in your health. You know that something has to happen for grandpa or grandma or something like that. Then we're holding them accountable. There's this huge energy that speaks to accountability that starts to really shift into the energy as we go into the 5th. Now, we're not getting a whole lot of sleep going into the 5th. This is all the last, 5-10 minutes of talking. I feel like have all been about this midnight hour. And we get into the day on the 5th. And the first thing that's really going to happen is at 6:13 a.m. Central Standard Time, the moon, got this at 6:30, is coming into Pisces. The moon is now moving back into Jupiter's sign. Was in Sagittarius a few days ago. Over the course of Easter weekend, was in Sagittarius most of the time. But now the moon is in Pisces. If you look at the idea that in the last 12 hours, it's not even been 12, it's been less than 8 right here. Both the moon and Venus have changed signs, have moved. The awareness of something new, the arrival of someone new, the opportunity of something new comes to light by the weekend. And it comes the most exact, the most aware right here, when both the moon and Venus are at the 0-degree points. Now, when it comes to the moon in Pisces, again, we need to deal with our emotions, and we have so much processing, but we've had a lot of emotional processing. So now there's a lot more, I feel like it speaks to acceptance. Not a lot of people like the energy of Venus and Aries. I personally do, because anytime I've seen major Venus Aries transits, they are like girl power transits, and you will not step on me. You will not push me down. There's a lot more empowerment whenever Venus has all of Mars's tools. And where's Mars? In Pisces, having to deal with the emotions. Oh, the levels of emotional healing and emotional accountability that are going to start to feed through these energies. And not everybody's going to like it. It's going to feel uncomfortable for a lot of people, but it really starts to come through. Another way this is coming through is, again, we're going to be taking those steps towards how our actions are going to go from here in regards to that healing aspect, in regards to those treatments, and how we're going to rebuild certain strengths, because whatever happened in the eclipse tipped the scales. And now how we start to balance everything back out has to do with the way that we move things onto this scale, and we put more focus on what we're doing in this moment. Now, the majority of the transits are happening real late at night. 6:30 in the morning, the moon goes into Pisces. But then there's not a whole lot of direct transits. Yes, the moon will go through a contra-ANTISCIA to Mercury, but I didn't really pick up on a whole lot of things there. I feel like more and more people are just going to be trying to emotionally accept the necessary changes of responsibility. Not a whole lot going on. This actually goes the most exact between 11:30 and 12:30 in the day. You see that right here. Here's the moon. Here's Mercury. Beyond that, there is no other direct transit to the day until we get into the evening time, of course, because everything happens late right now. Between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m. So 11 p.m. on Friday and 1 a.m. on Saturday. We're not getting a lot of sleep this week, guys. The moon is going to make a conjunction to Mars. The acceptance of actions, the awareness of the strength, the awareness of the disruption, the awareness of where healing is necessary, the awareness of something. Some people will be caught in some type of act right here. They're going to be caught doing something sneaky. They're going to be caught doing something that they shouldn't be doing. And given the way some of these transits are going to go through Saturday, some people, again, with the Venus Neptune, if we have that energy that ties to the lies, the fraud, and stuff like that, that I kind of talked more about in the intro, I feel like that is going to be more part of the energy of the 5th going into the 6th. And again, if you just caught your man cheating and this kind of energy starts to flow through you whenever we get into Saturday and get into the weekend, the level of anger and passivity and frustration, but also empowerment because you know you were right. And now you're on the defense or you're on offense, depending on that situation. Be like, oh, really? You're going to do stupid shit? Now stupid prizes are happening. Gasoline in a match. I'm not condoning such behavior, but I also carry no judgment. Okay. You do what you do. There's going to be a lot of Aries train that's going on. Moving along. Now, the moon's conjunction to Mars, again, 11 p.m. on the 5th, going to 1 a.m. on the 6th. That is when that's the most exact. We're going to keep this going. And we're going to get into this more simultaneous energy. Well, not quite that yet. First, we're going to get to the moon's conjunction to Saturn. That goes the most exact between 4 and 6 a.m. So I got this at 5:30. Here's Saturn. Here's the moon. The moon has just passed it. Acceptance of responsibility, acceptance of a role, acceptance of the weight, acceptance of pressure, acceptance of change, acceptance of the timing. Some people are going to be finally making their visits over to their elders this weekend and being able to see them for the first time. They haven't been able to go into the hospital. They haven't been able to go into that situation. There can be something that speaks to acceptance, but there's can be other things that can be speaking to how we see that role, how we see that person that's being responsible for something, how we see the authority figure, or how we're seeing the elder based off of everything that has just occurred. Okay. What is going to happen, this goes into the simultaneous energy. We're going to get this to roughly about 12:30. Yes. Okay. Between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, the moon is going to sextile Jupiter. So here's the moon, 18 degrees, 46 minutes. Here's Jupiter. Where is the moon? In Jupiter's sign. There's something that's meant to be understanding. There's supposed to be something that's meant to be confirming. However, the other thing that is occurring, this is why I said simultaneous, and this goes the most exact at 12 p.m. So we're just a little bit past it. Venus is contra-ANTISCIA to Neptune. If all of this week we've been dealing with emotional things and we get to Venus, Neptune, and we feel like we've discovered something that shows that somebody's been doing something shady, we might not act upon it immediately. We might not be acting upon it till this weekend. These are the transits that speak to acting upon it and reacting upon some type of lie, some type of deception, some type of thing. If we get to this energy and it's been more about the treatments and it has more to do with the body, then again, this has to do with the elder, that role and responsibility of who's taking care of what and who's doing that. And this can be like seeing the effects of the condition, the effects of what just happened, the effects of everything, and how we move forward from here, and asking, how can I help? Where do you need my support? Can I take some of the appointments? Can I help you with doing these things? Do you need me to go shopping? Do you need me to do these other things? This can be supportive, just as much as it can be reactive once we get into the weekend. But I do feel like there's a whole level of reactive energy that really starts to flood the mindset and the emotions once we get into the 5th, the 6th, and the 7th that we didn't quite have the first few days of the week. Okay. Between 3 and 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, the moon is going to sextile Uranus. So here's the moon, 21 degrees, 16 minutes, sextiling Uranus, 21 degrees, 4 minutes. Oh, this right here is, seeing something unexpected. Again, there can be these elements all throughout the week of expect the unexpected. Seeing the effects of something unexpectedly, getting some type of news about somebody's conditions or needs unexpectedly, getting an emotional message unexpectedly. I can't believe they're cheating. I can't believe this is going on. And you see those emotional responses. So one of the things that I've noticed is that when we get real crazy Neptune transits, sometimes, like if you watch those, like, are we dating the same guy group chats, or watch some of those things on like Facebook or Reddit or TikTok, all of a sudden we're going to be taking to social media and be like, blast, blast, blast. That's a more negative one. More positive one. If you did make an emotional reconnection, if you have made a response with someone, this can be telling somebody whether it's the moon Uranus, whether it's the Venus Neptune CONTRA-ANTISCIA, this can be where we tell somebody, oh yeah, so and so reached out, we're going to try again, we're going to try this moving forward. I'm going out on a date, we're going to go have some coffee, we're going to go to lunch, we're going to do this, we're going to do something. And the person that you're telling, hey, yeah, we've made this reconnection, they're going to be like, what? Some people are not going to expect it. Some people are going to have some opinions. Mercury is retrograde. They're going to have a lot of opinions about this reconnection. Okay. After the moon sextile to Uranus, there is not a whole lot direct transit wise. So that's the most felt between 3 and 5 p.m. But again, the human effect of the energy is that things can happen at any time. And we're not going to sugarcoat that. And we're not going to pretend like it's not. We're going to get into the overnight hours. We might actually finally fall asleep at a normal hour, but then we could have the craziest dream energy possible. Why do I say that? Because in the overnight hours of Saturday going into Sunday, the moon is going to make a conjunction to Neptune. Now, that goes the most exact between 2:30 and 4:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. You can dream something that's happening in the moment. You can finally have that moment of discovery of knowing somebody's been sneaking around, and you have to like just drive over in the middle of the night, and it's like you're taking those little pictures and all that because you know you're going to address it the next morning. When the moon hits the conjunction to Neptune, ironically enough, right, we have another CONTRA-ANTISCIA, and that's going on between the sun and Mars. Mars rules Aries. Yes, the sun is in its exaltation. This speaks to something that whatever is happening can either be something that inspires us, so we can have like the most hellacious dream energy that leads to actions the next day, that inspires us to take actions the next day, or we're having another late night, but we're catching somebody in their sneaky actions. We're getting the confirmation of the lie. We're getting confirmation of the fraud. We're getting confirmation of the deception. Some people might finally get to sleep in their own bed. They've been in the hospital for the last week and a half, 2 weeks. And all of a sudden they get that first night at home in bed and they get the best sleep they've had in weeks. And it's going to impact the way that they move the next day. If you've ever had to stay in a hospital, it's not a fun thing to do. If you've ever had to stay in the hospital, all the beeps and all the noises and all the things that are going on in the hospital all the time, you don't get sound sleep. Unless you're on medication, you don't get sound sleep. And there can be something here that speaks to finally getting deep sleep that allows for us to feel differently the next day. Now, when it comes to the rest of Sunday, there is only one more transit that's going to happen. So at 6:25 a.m. Central Standard Time. So I've got this at 5:30. Here's the moon, 29 degrees of Pisces. Bump this 1 hour, 6:30 a.m. The moon's now in Aries. Keep this going a couple more hours. We get to roughly about 11:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. The moon is going to make a conjunction to Venus. And this is the last direct transit of the day. Again, we can meet up with somebody, discover something. We can be offering that evidence. We can be showing a loved one something. There can be something that speaks to confirmation. There can be something that's fueling that empowerment type energy based off of the transit. And what I mean by it, like we can be discovering something in the empowerment type thing. If somebody just got caught cheating and we got a very mad wife, we got a very mad girlfriend, and I'm specifically going with the feminine on this one because it's Venus. And Venus can be like, so-and-so's acting crazy. Come get your sister. I need you over here. I need help. I need support. And what happens is you come in the door and half of somebody's stuff is sitting in the yard. It's that type of energy. It's that type of mindset. It's that type of thing. And the reason that you got called over is because, okay, I can't lift this big, heavy thing. Either help me move it out in one piece or it's going to go out in pieces. Like, whoa, calm. I can help. I can help you move this thing. I can help you fix this thing. I can help you overcome the situation. You don't have to break everything. Put the axe down. Put the sledgehammer down. It's okay. The thing about Venus and Aries, she's going to pick the sledgehammer before the pen. That's just it. She's not going to write about her emotions. It's not going to be some poetic thing. Oh, no. If you know somebody with their natal Venus and Aries, actions, movement, reactions, especially when feeling slighted. Now, for some people, lies and deception. And this is why I'm bringing this part up. And if you get caught in a lie, the level of reaction that's come through can be huge. And that can be a big part of what we start to go into with the eclipse that's going to happen on the 8th. New girl. Even if you didn't get a new girlfriend, your girl's just that mad and feeling that wound up and feeling that empowered. There's that new. And there will be this spike in energy whenever it comes to women that are wanting to feel more empowered. I've seen it every time I've ever seen Venus go into Aries. But some of the empowerment will be based off of like needing to take very fast reactions to things because Mercury is retrograde. However, not everybody's going to be in the negative sense. And some people will be going through those levels of therapy. And somebody's going to, sleep at home in their bed for the very first time over the weekend. And all of a sudden they're going to feel so much better. And they're going to be feeling so grateful that they're home. And they're going to like commit to whatever changes that they need to make, wherever we need to refocus, wherever we need to re-strategize, wherever we need to restructure and reorganize this thing in our life so that way our health can be repaired. For some people, Venus and Neptune will be a symptom. And it's going to make us aware of how overactive something has been in the body. And it will feel like delayed reactions from the eclipse. And whenever you have planets that go through Aries in the negative sense, like Venus going through its detriment, there can suddenly be a spike in overactivity. And that can then later lead to breathing issues. That can lead to kidney issues. That can lead to other issues in the body. this closing up, allergies running rampant. I mean, that you guys know I have allergies all the time because I never hide it. But there can be something that comes into focus and it really starts to instigate a certain type of thing once Venus goes into Aries. However, some people will be making those blind leaps of faith this week. And if you are the blind leap of faith person, I'm rooting for you. I really am. Because again, you can make that connection, potentially put forth levels of healing that again, you might be held accountable for what you're claiming you desire. I want us to do better. I want to fix this. I want to turn things around. Prove it. And Venus in Aries is going to be that level of accountability. There's going to be that energy that speaks to you proving it. Actions will speak louder than words. When we go through the rest of April, after this first week, actions will speak louder than words. Now, the thing is we're in Aries season. We have all of these transits that are going to hit Aries, and then we start the next week with a new moon eclipse in the sign of Aries. Mars rules Aries, and Mars is in Pisces. Those levels of deep-seated disruption, wounds that are being scraped one more time, the weight of certain impressions that have been bubbling up to the surface for the last year, there will be certain actions and reactions tied to that emotional weight once we get deeper into these Aries transits. And they too speak to that level of reconnection. And sometimes where we reconnect is not going to have to do with a lover or a friend. It can have to do with those family members. And again, somebody can be making that effort of, I want us to do better. I want us to do these things. I want us to be sisters again. I want us to be, we used to be so close. We used to do all these things together. Why can't we do them together anymore? Because you're an asshole. I said it. I've been the asshole before. You've been the asshole before. Sometimes we have to remind somebody else, you've been an asshole. You did this. You hurt me. You wronged me. You betrayed me. I don't want to do that again. What can I do to make this better? What can I do to make this right? Prove it. There's a big energy that speaks to proving it. Some of you, you're going to be the ones reaching out to someone else. And you're going to be asking for the forgiveness. Or maybe you just have. While going through the first part of the eclipse, you've reached out to somebody and you've let them know that you desire that connection again and you desire to heal something. Some people, they're going to tell you everything's fine, not necessary, but others are going to tell you to prove it. And you need to be prepared to put your money where your mouth is, if that is your desire. Be expecting the unexpected this week. Be expecting people from the past to really start to flood through. Some of us, we've already felt the first waves of it. But once Mercury turns retrograde, it will be much, much bigger. Once Venus goes into Aries while Mercury is retrograde, the energy is going to pick up tenfold. I need you to be aware of that. I need you to be prepared for that. And if you are in the position where you have figured out somebody has wronged you, somebody has been lying to you, somebody has cheated you, I'm not a supporter of pulling a Carrie Underwood, keys on the side of the car kind of thing, baseball bat type of energy. I'm really not a fan of that. Car didn't do anything to you. I'm a Jeeper. I like classic cars and I love my Jeeps. I love motorcycles too. So don't take it out on the car. That's always been my thing. But I'm also in no judgment zone. And I'm aware these things are going to happen. I'm aware that some people are going to light something on fire, especially once Venus goes into Aries. Do your best to talk to somebody like me before you light the match. So that way you know the consequences of what happens after you light the match. Okay. Okay, it's going to be a fun week, especially once we get to the weekend. April is going to be a shit show. I will continue to say that because not everybody is going to be in a place of healing and empowerment and rebuilding their life and rebuilding something in their health. Not everybody's like that. Some people are going through the different types of energies and they're going to be reacting upon the lies, the deception, the fraud. And that's not going to be easy. But all of it is necessary so we can shift more into what's going to be our new norm once we get into May. Major shifts in April. Shit show type energy. Huge energetic storm. Thanks, Mercury retrograde. Thanks, eclipse season. Super excited for it. Anyways, I love and appreciate every single one of you. I will talk to everybody very, very soon. I look forward to that first interactive Zoom on Monday night. Hit me up with questions, hit me up with concerns, and I'll talk to you later. Subscribe.